Lahore, Pakistan. City filled with life, crowded bazaars, busy streets, children playing cricket under streetlights. But in December of 1999, everything changed. A letter arrived at the office of one of Pakistan's most widely read newspapers. Nobody expected it to contain what it did, written in calm handwriting, not rushed, not angry. The note announced something unthinkable. I have killed 100 children. If you don't believe me, go to my house, in the acid tank. You will find the proof. Police thought it was a joke. The curiosity and dread forced them to check. Officers entered a tour-room house in Shadbagh. Inside, 2 large blue plastic drums. They opened them, and what they saw sent shockwaves across the world. Human remains, dissolved in acid, photographs, clothes, numbers, records. The letter wasn't a prank. It was a confession, a declaration, a challenge. It belonged to one man, Javed Iqbal. Today, we explore the mind of the man who became Pakistan's most feared serial killer, a predator who claimed he was created, it's not born. Javed Iqbal was born in 1956, the 6th of 8 children in a wealthy and respected family. His father was strict, a man obsessed with discipline and reputation. Mistakes were punished brutally. Failure was unacceptable. Some say the violence Javed later used was learned, not invented. Others believe something darker was always inside him. But what everyone agrees on is this: he never fit in. Not at home, not at school, not in society. He was quiet, withdrawn, emotionless. A classmate once said, he looked at people the way a scientist looks at insects. At 16, Javed dropped out of school. At 20, he opened a small business, a garage, and scrap trade. By 25, he was already known for something unusual. He surrounded himself with street children, runaways, orphans, beggars, kids no one would look for, fed them, gave them shelter, bought them food, earned their trust. No one suspected the truth yet, not even the children. Javed Iqbal did not begin with murder. He began with control. Police later uncovered allegations of abuse, small children disappearing from his circle. But with no bodies and no formal complaints, nothing was proven. He grew bolder. And then, something happened that changed everything. In 1997, Javed was arrested for assaulting young boys. For the first time, he tasted humiliation. He spent months in jail. When he came out, he was furious. He told police, journalists, and anyone who would listen, "You punish me for one crime. Now, I will give you crimes you will never forget." Pakistan, late 1990s. A city full of noise, crowds, and routine. A place where children played cricket on dusty streets. Vendors shouted prices over traffic, and life continued through hardship and hope. But beneath that life, something else was happening. Something so dark, so disturbing, that it would one day shake the entire nation. This is the story of Javed Iqbal, the man who claimed he murdered 100 children, and left the country questioning whether the true horror was just one monster, or a society that never saw him coming. Javed Iqbal was not born into violence. His beginning was ordinary. He came from a middle-class family in Lahore. He attended school, lived comfortably, and had a father who owned property and businesses. From the outside, he was just another boy. But inside him, there was something broken, something growing, not overnight, but slowly like rot. By his teenage years, Javed began withdrawing from people. Not socially, emotionally. He didn't connect. He didn't empathize. By the time he reached adulthood, he was already ignorant, silent, calculating, and deeply isolated. He opened a small video rental shop and later a metalworks business. To neighbors, he was quiet. To acquaintances, he was strange. And to children, he appeared generous. He offered snacks, coins, small gifts. And in a neighborhood where poverty lived next to wealth, children learned one thing early: when someone offers help, you don't ask why, you accept. But something happened, a moment that turned odd curiosity into obsession. In 1999, Javed was accused of molesting several boys. He was arrested, but only briefly. Witnesses withdrew statements. Parents were afraid. Laws were weak. And like a shadow slipping behind a door, Javed disappeared from the judicial system. But something shifted inside him. as if humiliation and rage reprogrammed his entire identity. When that door closed behind him as a free man, he made a decision that would lead to one of the most horrifying crime sprees in modern history. He would become a killer, not for passion, not for thrill, but for revenge, against the world, against the system, against the children he believed had ruined his life. He rented a house in Ravi Road, Lahore, a small, ordinary building with no reason to be noticed. Inside, he created rules, a plan, a routine. Predators rarely begin with chaos. They begin with structure. He would lure runaway boys, orphans, and poor street children by offering shelter, food, or work. His victims were vulnerable, unprotected, invisible to society. Children who belonged to no one. Children no one would come looking for. Once inside his home, Javed drugged them. Some he strangled. Some he suffocated slowly, watching their faces distort in silent terror. To him, they weren't children. They were numbers. After killing them, he dismembered the bodies. He dissolved bones in acid. He carefully disposed of remains so that no one, not even a desperate parent, could find closure. But there was something even more chilling. He documented everything. Names, ages, dates, photographs. It wasn't murder, but it was record-keeping, if he wanted acknowledgement, recognition, a legacy of horror. For months, children vanished from the streets of Lahore. At first, no one connected the disappearances. Runaways vanish all the time, police said. Poor children relocate. Maybe they migrated. One mother said, "He told me children get lost." But not mine. Mine had a name, yet still, no action, no panic. Just silence. Because sometimes the most terrifying thing about a killer is not what he does, but how long no one notices. By the time the number reached 50, there were whispers. By 70, there was fear. By 90, there was panic. And then in December 1999, everything exploded. A letter arrived at the police station. Inside was a confession, signed Javed Iqbal, who killed 100 children. But that wasn't all. He included details only the killer could know. He left physical evidence, photographs, victim belongings, and bodies dissolved in acid. He wrote, "I have no regrets. I punished 100 boys. My mission is complete." Police stormed his house. Inside, they found 2 acid drums filled with human remains. On the walls, photographs. In the drawers, clothes, and the ledger names. Each entry cold and systematic. Victim number 36 to 12 years old. Victim number 72 to 9 years old. Victim number 91, unknown age. It was no longer speculation. It was reality. A nightmare uncovered. The nation erupted. News channels ran non-stop coverage. Parents kept children indoors. People begged for answers. How did this happen? How did he go unnoticed? How does one man kill 100 children in plain sight? Police hunted him across Lahore. Jaffa vanished like smoke. For weeks, he taunted authorities, sending new letters, messages, and threats, as if the missing children, the remains, the ledger weren't horrifying enough. He wanted the world to watch. He wanted acknowledgement. He wanted power. Then suddenly he walked into a newspaper office and surrendered. Calm, silent, expressionless. Reporters froze. No fear, no remorse, no humanity. Just a man, fulfilled. When asked why, he replied, "Because no one cared for these children, not their parents, not society, not the police. So I decided their fate." The courtroom became a battleground. The judge sentenced him to death, not once, but 100 times. Strangulation. A sentence designed not for justice, but symbolism. But fate didn't follow the script. Before execution could be carried out, Javed Iqbal was found dead in his prison cell. Hanging. Some called it suicide. Others called it revenge by guards. Some claimed the government ended him quietly to avoid international outrage. We will never know. His death closed the case, but not the wounds, not the questions, not the fear. So the story ends here. Not exactly. Because somewhere in Lahore, In neighborhoods where children once played, some parents still wait, still hope, still wonder. And the silence around those missing boys remains louder than any scream. Is the true horror of Javed Iqbal's story, ISNT, just that one man killed 100 children? It's that for a very long time. No one noticed, and no one stopped him.